Story 1. The worst person you know actually did something good. DeSantis and his appointed associates have brought Florida into disarray. It is about time they accomplished something positive. Story 2. Should have stayed rotting in Romania. After conviction, I hope the stories about prison and how these people are treated are true. Story 3. You will notice that every comment asking why, what has he done, is from supporters of Donald Trump. Save your arguments. I am just going to block you. You bore me. Story 4. It will be the same strategy used for Jeffrey Epstein and Matt Gaetz. We investigated and found they did nothing wrong. So there are no more questions needed about these loyal supporters of the conservative movement. Story 5. I fully support this. They should not be allowed to return here to avoid charges in another country. They have committed numerous crimes, so it is time they serve their sentence. Story 6. The Tate brothers are a prime example of a harmful influence on society. They should be kept away from the public for the rest of their lives. All of their assets should be seized, including their domains, and used to counteract the negative impact of their teachings on young men. Story 7. There are many swamps in Florida. I would also investigate the individuals who approved the visas to return those offenders. Story 8. I expect Florida will let them off the hook once the order from Trump comes down. He is the reason Romania allowed them to go. Story 9. Pam Bondi, as Florida Attorney General, looked into joining a class action lawsuit against Trump University before his $25,000 campaign donation to her ended it. Monitor the upcoming campaign contributions if they even bother to announce the questionable payments anymore. Story 10. His crimes are horrific and there is substantial evidence, including a video of him boasting about trafficking women through online camming. He needs to be held accountable for his actions. Story 11. I believe that human trafficking and rape are wrong, and any efforts to punish these behaviors are positive. That said, I wish we could extradite those responsible to the countries that seek justice for their actions. Story 12. Detain them immediately in maximum security. They are guilty of rape, international sex trafficking, assault, and many other crimes. Why did Trump extradite them? Because he is cut from the same cloth. Let's not leave the decision to Florida, the least American state. The Attorney General of Florida, past and present, needs to be held accountable for two things. First, they must be locked up, and second, they need to check themselves. These are monsters placed on the streets of America like Trump. Protest, rise, resist, and resurrect America. Story 13. They will find him worthy of criminal charges, bring him to the United States, and then release him as a free man. I do not trust the state of Florida to have a moral compass worth anything. Story 14. Is AskReddit just going to be, "This just happened? What are your thoughts on it?" You can look at the comments on the articles posted about those topics on various subreddits and see what Redditors think about them. Story 15. They are offenders so important to Trump. He will take care of them and possibly make them part of the Defense Department. Story 16. I am interested in how the administration responds to Florida regarding this matter. We will probably hear threats of withholding federal funds. Story 17. I believe they should be investigated. While I agree with some of their statements, I also think they may have trafficked women to exploit young men. Story 18. Probably the only thing I have ever approved of this state government doing. I am genuinely pleasantly surprised. Story 19. Hope he can get to the bottom of that, but knowing how Tate and his kind are constantly being supported by the government, I doubt it. Story 20. DeSantis was dismissed by Trump after showing allegiance. He is upset that Trump deceived him. This is Ron's petty revenge against Trump. Two despicable individuals can, in fact, create a positive outcome. Story 21. Will this be an actual investigation or just a process to show that we care about law and order when they do not? Story 22. It is so the Republican Party can exonerate them with some legitimacy. They cannot allow a rapist or human trafficker beloved by certain individuals to face consequences. Story 23. It is a great opportunity for a presidential pardon. Perhaps this will be the tipping point that allows Trump to replace DeSantis with Gaetz as governor. Story 24. A lot of commotion is aimed at moving the situation out of Florida's jurisdiction and into the federal arena. This may sound far-fetched, but it is akin to a wrestling CEO's wife leading the Department of Education. He is the perfect antagonist and appeals to certain groups that oppose him, who are in turn disliked by Trump supporters. His trial and conviction for a federal crime will become a spectacle that advertising companies will heavily promote. Presidential pardon. Probably not, but at this point, no one would be surprised. Story 25. I am curious if the criminals being deported daily are also being investigated with the same attention. Story 26. It feels like a setup to me. It takes the focus off the sexual abuser who is listed with Epstein. They have marginalized communities to target. Story 27. I will be realistic and say they will investigate, claim they find nothing, and use that as justification to let them go free. Story 28. It is only because Tate criticized DeSantis' wife, who is his choice for the next governor, while Tate supports Byron Donalds. Story 29. Maybe the Florida Attorney General should look at some of the other child rapists and traffickers in the state, like Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump. By all means, go after the Tate brothers, but let's hold everyone accountable. Story 30. Tate is a plant, an artificial creation representing a distorted image of what some individuals perceive as an ideal version of masculinity. His rise was not authentic. It was manufactured. Story 31. Given how divided we are as a country politically, and considering how Tate aligns with the far right of the political spectrum, I am somewhat impressed that a Republican state would take this action. I guess I am slightly encouraged, albeit skeptical. Story 32. What do I think? I am a bit surprised we seem to have discovered a small anomaly of integrity and law-abiding behavior in Florida, but I am not upset about it. Story 33. Something good is coming out of Florida. I don't see that very often anymore. Also, I hope he applies the Mann Act. Story 34. They should have left them to deal with the court cases in Romania. The prison system there is not as nice as that in the United States. Story 35. After all that work, Trump had his team bring them to America. He will have it called off and then appoint them to his cabinet. After all, he does love to be in like company. Story 36. This should have happened a long time ago, the moment the allegations surfaced. The Tate brothers are rapists, misogynists, human traffickers, sexists, and predators through and through. They are overall terrible individuals, and so are their supporters. Story 37. The investigation will uncover who arranged their release. It might be Trump, possibly at the request of another controversial figure like Jake Paul. Alternatively, they may have purchased 100 million of Trump coin and sent him a screenshot. They will suppress the information. Story 38. I am cautiously optimistic. We know that Florida is usually more interested in protecting people like Tate than in stopping them, but it also seems like Ron DeSantis has some personal issues with Tate. If it takes DeSantis having a personal vendetta or some kind of internal power struggle for Tate to go to jail, I will accept it. Story 39. I am observing that many internet personalities involved in the Florida, Texas, and California circuit have connections to crime. After MTV left Panama City, Florida, and with Spring Break losing its appeal, that scene transformed into shock jock antics and attention-seeking behavior online. In many cases, law enforcement facilitated this situation, convincing individuals that they could act without consequences. Many of these individuals participated in a large network of content theft and exploited others' lives. A divide emerged where individuals harboring anti-male and anti-female sentiments assumed control over significant cultural influence, which is noteworthy. It is important to examine the South Florida poker rings that extend into Las Vegas, as these often serve as a front for various individuals involved in questionable activities. Story 40. A part of me thinks that since it is a right-wing state, they will clear those individuals of any wrongdoing. However, if the Florida Attorney General has a sense of decency, they will hopefully conduct a thorough investigation. Again, I believe the chances of that are low. Story 41. I have seen many individuals trying to undermine DeSantis for this. I appreciate seeing him experience the consequences of his actions for once. Story 42. Rubio and DeSantis need to learn how to provide more support for young girls now that Epstein isn't around anymore. Story 43. I am not a supporter of the death penalty, even when the defendant's guilt is beyond any reasonable doubt. In this case, I believe the electric chair should be used immediately. I do not need the investigation to conclude. Story 44. I believe they should do their own thing. If they discover something, it is much more reputable, to be honest. It is better than Romania or anywhere else. Story 45. I am not a lawyer, but I have a feeling they will investigate them and find no wrongdoing, then refuse to extradite them. The Gooch brothers are the kind of people DeSantis and Trump favor. Story 46. I am a Floridian. The investigation here is merely for show. There is no chance that Ron DeSantis or the Florida Republicans will take action against the Tate brothers. They promote a message that the Republicans embrace: how to hate women. Story 47. The Florida Attorney General. Seriously, this is actually a good thing to do. The sooner they are behind bars, the better. Story 48. England wants him for crimes he and his brother allegedly committed there. I'm sure Florida could help expedite the extradition process. Story 49. I'm actually surprised. I would expect a hero's welcome simply because anyone leaning slightly left dislikes them. A red state would roll out the red carpet for them. Still, I doubt there will be anything meaningful done about them. Story 50. They will be tried and found not guilty in America. They will then end up exploiting women and girls for those in positions of power within the United States government, referred to as nonce mercenaries. Story 51. He opened the case just so it could be closed. The Tates are going to be useful individuals in the current administration. Story 52. I approve of the action, but I have no idea why they are doing this. Andrew Tate and Ron DeSantis should be closely aligned. Story 53. It's a meaningless exercise, a simple procedural distraction to feign impartiality, ultimately leading to nothing and only appeasing those who are outraged. Florida is lenient on sex crimes, as is much of the United States, so this is not meant to single anyone out, just to be clear. Story 54. If someone commits a crime, I hope they serve their sentence. However, if they are innocent, many people will still treat them as if they are guilty. This is the most disturbing aspect of social media today. Lies and falsehoods are believed more than the truth. Story 55. I do not have enough information. If they violated the law and engaged in suspicious activities, then investigate thoroughly. If it is just a strange political game, then I am not concerned. Story 56. Another example of why Ron should not be president. Being disliked is not a reason for investigation. Ron should have sent an aide to check for an extradition order immediately. If there is not one, he should instruct the dissatisfied individuals to express their feelings more strongly. Story 57. Can you provide background on what they are accused of? What actual crimes in the United States could they be charged with? I understand that people have been influenced to dislike them, but I rarely see supporting information. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.